The IDP Pros podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100 times your entry. That's right, turn $5 into $500 in one game. Plus, every Sunday they're giving away $100,000. Use the promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use the promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Plus, NBA is back, and so is the NBA Gambling Podcast. To celebrate, we're giving away an NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBADOG, that's NBA Dog, for all the details.
Run him, run him. Stay on him, stay on him. Stop on the ball.
The IDP Pro Players Pod is a proud member of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, home of the hottest, smartest, and fastest growing sports gambling and fantasy football providers in professional sports entertainment to date. And now, without any further delay, here's your veteran, infamous, no dirty O in-season and senior IDP pros, Johnny the Greek and Gary, the IDP tipster, coming off the edge as always with their deepest standard league NFL defensive takes.
Welcome back to the IDP Pros podcast. My name is Johnny the Greek. I am joined this week, just like every week, with the senior IDP analyst for the SGPN network, the man, the myth, the legend, the biggest Ohio State fan I know, the IDP tipster, Mr. Gary Van Dyke. Gary, how are you, sir?
Oh, brother, you must know a few more Ohio State fans than me because I'm big. I'm not as big as what I should be anymore, but man, I'll tell you. That was a hell of a game, man. That was a defensive game there for a while.
USC lost a couple. The path is opening right up for your Buckeyes, so things are looking good.
Oh, yeah. Everything but the quarterback.
Yes, sir. We got a bunch of Week 7 news to recap to get you ready for Week 8, including some massive injuries and waiver wire moves. Let's start way back at the end of last week, though, with Cowboys-Chargers. That was the Monday night game the previous week. Only real significant news out of this is Damone Clark is the waiver wire linebacker for Leighton Vander Esch. He played 99% of snaps, had a pretty good game. Anything from that last week game that stuck out to you, Cowboys-Chargers?
A few weeks ago, you mentioned something about Marquise Bell. I think it was a safety situation, though, but I was shocked to read, and looking back at the snap count since we recapped and they were playing when we was recording, Marquise Bell actually stepped in for the second linebacker. He got like 50% of the snaps or something, had a little bit of production with that. Him and Dan Quinn know each other from Seattle days, I believe. That's how long Bell's been in this league. Yeah, at 6'3", it says 210 or something on this guy, but so I wouldn't expect him to be up here like stopping the run or anything. But if he's playing that weak side and he's going to be out there for 50% of the snaps, we already seen Clark produce a little bit in that role, give some deep LB2 or LB3 type numbers. So just somebody to keep an eye on if you're throwing a dart deep.
Good option to have in the back pocket, absolutely.
And a quick reminder, hey, Cashman for Houston, they're coming off bye. If that dude did not get picked up last week in waiver wires, it looks like he's going to be the man in place of Perriman playing next to 2-2. It's a massively productive position to play if he is the guy again. It's like one of those ones you got a little bit of risk that they could flip the script, but I doubt it very much. I think we talked about that.
Yes, very good option right there. Let's move on to this week's games. We'll start with the Thursday nighter from last few days ago here. So Jaguars Saints, we'll start on the Jag side of things. We're looking pretty good. Foye Oluokun, 100% of snaps. Devin Lloyd, 99%. That's normal. At safety, Rayshon Jenkins, 99%. Cisco only played 68%, but he had cramps, so I got to assume he'll be okay for this week. At defensive line, Josh Allen, 80%. Trayvon Walker, 73%. Saints, let's have a look there. Looking pretty good at linebacker. Pete Werner, 100% of snaps. Demario Davis down to 73, so maybe a little bit of a switcheroo there. and Zach Bond 36%. I didn't see any injury stuff on DeMario. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. At safety, Marcus May 100%, Tyrann Mathieu 100%. That's normal. At pass rush, Cameron Jordan 95%. And Mr. Granderson, 88%, third excellent week in a row for Granderson in the box score.
Only thing I can say is Marcus Mayday.
Mayday, Mayday, come in, Star Command. Send reinforcements.
Got to come up with something for this dude, man. He's just a pain in the ass. Dude come off 3 big-ass assists this week. Told everybody, hey, I got to admit, he looks like he's going to be a good play. He's going to get 100% of the snaps. By Job, he goes and he lays a freaking 3-assist game, man. I'm done with this. Yeah.
I like it. It's like we're calling for help. The ship is sinking. Mayday, mayday.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only thing I found here is DeMario was questionable with a knee injury heading into this game, so maybe they just took it easy on him. He should be okay. Let's head on over to Lions and Ravens. This was a bit of a shocking upset here, but defensively we're looking pretty good. One real interesting thing, though, so at linebacker for the Lions, Alex Anzalone, 100% of snaps. That's normal. Jack Campbell up to 90%. Derek Barnes down to 68%. We'll talk about that in a second. It's safety. We've still got the same kind of merry-go-round happening here. Tracy Walker, 98%. Kirby Joseph, 92%. Will Harris, 83%. Brian Branch, 50%. At pass rush, Aiden Hutchinson, 90%. John Kaminsky, 62%. What do you think about Campbell shooting past Barnes? And then anything else you got on the Lions?
Yeah, I would investigate it a little bit just right before we got on here, man. And I come across the fact that it said, some beat writer wrote that PFF graded Campbell and Barnes the worst inside linebackers for the weekend. Take that for a grain of salt. Apparently had some real problems against Baltimore. At this point, you've got to see what you got in Campbell. I'd be interested to see what Barnes's contract is, but this is his 3rd or 4th year, so he might be like a free agent next year, and they just signed Anzalone right before the season again. You know, they just signed him up for 2 more years, so they might not be too interested. I mean, Barnes has had a decent season to start, but, you know, they got to see what they got in Campbell. They spent all that draft stock on him, and Barnes just might be out the door next year.
I can see that. This game was over by halftime too, so that could be it. Also, Campbell maybe they knew it was over. Give him some live game reps, but we got to keep an eye on it regardless. This is definitely weird.
And to let you guys know, Joseph Kirby, which I believe had a hell of a game, and then I turned around and seen something about a concussion. Apparently, he did pass the protocol, so he should be good to go this week.
Beautiful, good news there. All right, looking at the Ravens side of things, so Marcus Williams was inactive. We kind of thought that might be coming. Geno Stone replaced him for 100% of snaps at safety. We've seen that before. That's been a waiver wire move all season. At linebacker, both Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith only played 89% because this was a bloodbath and they got to rest. At safety, same deal. Hamilton and Brandon Stevens, 89%. They got to rest. At pass rush, Jadeveon Clowney, 59% of snaps. Justin Matabukaki or Mataduki, take your pick, 53% of snaps. Dafe Owe is back from injury, 53% of snaps. And Kyle Van Noy, 44%. Anything from the Ravens to sit out?
I don't know, man, but do they spend a lot of time in the war room during the draft going, all right, who has the hardest name to pronounce? That's who we're drafting. Mm-hmm. They got a shit ton. Let's see here. I definitely wanted to look in because we japped up Marmaduke or whatever. So I wanted to make sure how he did last week because
good. He had a sack. Yeah.
All right, nice. I mean, this dude's just solid. I'm looking at his numbers right here. I mean, from week 3 on, he has just been solid or above. So he's got the Cardinals coming up. He's almost, I want to say, kind of matchup proof, you know. It's kind of scary, especially after talking about Mayday and shit goes left. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, he's been very good this season. So we will ride the hot hand. That is for sure. The IDP Pros podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. Underdog has just introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 and pick 'em Scorchers and enjoy a spicy 100 times payout. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending the first deposit bonus up to $500. They also have $100,000 Sundays that continue every weekend. 10 lucky players each Sunday to win $10,000 each. My favorite Underdog pick'em line for this week is Dak Prescott over his interception line, as is tradition. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by the NBA Underdog Contest. NBA is back, and to celebrate, we're giving away an NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA Dog, all one word, to submit a screenshot of you playing NBA Underdog using our promo code SGPN, and one random winner will get an NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head on over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA Dog to enter. Let's move on to Bears and Raiders. We'll start with the Raiders side of things. At safety, no changes. Morig, 100% of snaps. Marcus Epps, 100% of snaps. At defensive line, Max Crosby, 97%. At linebacker, Divine Diablo, only 25% due to an ankle injury. So Luke Masterson becomes a waiver wire linebacker move. Saw 62% of snaps as a direct replacement for Diablo. At other linebacker, Robert Spillane, 86% of snaps. It's about normal. Anything else on the Raiders that stood out to you? And are you interested in Masterson?
I have interest in Masterson if I'm desperate. I think the production's got to be there, wouldn't you?
Yep, this is a warm body production by default guy that's going to get like 80% of snaps a week, and I'll freaking take it.
Oh, yeah, at this point.
All right, Raiders looking good. Over on the Bears, besides safety, everything looks pretty good. So Brisker, 100% of snaps, that's normal. Elijah Hicks in for Eddie Skidmarks Jackson. We've seen that all season. 100% of snaps for Hicks, that's normal. At linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds, 100% of snaps. TJ Edwards, 92%, that's normal. At pass rush, Yannick Ngakoue, bit of a bump, up to 91% of snaps. That's probably just game script. And then DeMarcus Walker, 65%. And lastly, Jack Sanborn, 25%. Anything on the Bears that stood out to you?
As you're talking about game script, I mean, when it comes to Sanborn, seeing 25% after coming off the week that he had, and then to think about the fact that Edwards had been outpacing Edmonds for the last 2 to 3 games too. What kind of fucking game script do they have?
Let's move on to Browns and Colts. This was a heck of a game, and we got some good IDP production out of this one. Starting with the Browns, Taki was inactive this week, so Anthony Walker saw a bump up to 100% of snaps. That's a huge bump. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, only 49%. So much like last year, just a dumpster fire all over the place for the linebacker core. We'll talk about that in a second. At safety, we're looking good. Thornhill, 100%. Grant Delpit, 100%. At defensive line, Myles Garrett, 77%. Massive day. Zadarius Smith, 73%. Okoronkwo, 61%. Dalvin Tomlinson, 59%. And then Tony Fields got some play this week at linebacker as well. 46% of snaps with Taki out. Any thoughts on this, man? I trust this Anthony Walker thing 0%.
What is it? They're cursed. They are just one of the worst cursed teams at linebacker. You just got to go with who's healthy. And unless Fields ends up being the final factor in this whole situation, I'm probably avoiding him. He's going to have to come off a game or two as the main second linebacker. So I'm not sure how these injuries, you're going to have to check with our SGPN football doc, Sebastian, here later in the week and get an update. But they've been producing. So who's getting the time again?
I'm with you. Anthony Walker, assuming Taki's out again, may have some value, but I don't trust it long-term at all. So I'm with you on that. We'll keep an eye on it for you. Over on the Colts, things look much more stable. At safety, Blackman, 100%. Rodney Thomas, 100%. That's normal. At linebackers, Zaire Franklin, 100%. That's normal. Shaq Leonard down to 72%. EJ Speed stays the same at 40%. That's pretty much normal. At defensive line, Buckner, 92%. Really huge playing time there. Like to see that. Grover Stewart, suspended 6 games for performance-enhancing drugs. Not great. We don't like to see that. Kwity Paye, 69%. Samson Ebukam, 65%. Anything on the Colts that stood out?
Yeah, man, that's kind of a bummer about Stewart, dude. We'll see you in 6 games, Mr. Stewart.
It explains last year, right?
Yeah. What I really wanted to tell you is I've been saving this one, man. And is it every time Leonard's getting ready to go on the field, is it like he's got a firecracker fuse coming out of his back of his pants and they light it, send him out into the game and just see if it pops or not?
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
What's that? Your computer has another virus? Well, my friend, you need help to stop your obsession with the dirty O. All of this searching for air yards and yards after catch and blah, blah, blah. Stop your dirty O obsession by searching for the IDP Pro Players Podcast instead and focus on the other side of the balls. I mean ball. The crew on the IDP Pro Players Podcast care about you and your technology by holding true to their no dirty O mantra. Every week, Gary and Jon bring you the IDP content you need to save your rosters and dominate your league while avoiding the dirty O. So save your technology by tuning into the IDP Pro Players Podcast with your longtime and totally unoffensive veteran hosts, Johnny the Greek and Gary the IDP Tipster. Follow them on Twitter at I, D, P, RO. One word at the IDP Pro Players Pod.
Move on to Bills and Patriots here. We'll start on the Bills side of things where we do have a bit of a mess at linebacker. So Terrell Bernard is A-OK, 100% of snaps. It flip-flopped again this week. Dodson, 52%. Dorian Williams, 35%. Talk about that in a second. At safety, we're looking good. Poyer, 100%. Hyde, 100%. At defensive line, still a bit of a mess as well. Epinesa, 53%. Leonard Floyd, 53%. Greg Russo, 50%. Von Miller, 10%. That theory of saving him seems to be happening. And then Ed Oliver, inactive. Any thoughts on this? And what are you doing with Dodson and Williams?
Well, that's great that I had something going on there with Von Miller, but it was terrible that I mentioned that Floyd should be the secure guy to do something this week. He still got his snaps, but lo and behold, he wasn't the guy. So probably some of that Patriots scheming, seeing Floyd more as a threat, I guess. I don't know. Dodson and Williams, we mentioned it wasn't really secure a few weeks ago, and we were all shocked last week when Williams got all the snaps. So, hey, they gave both these guys a shot back to back, and they could see what they're better at, and they decided that they're going to put us into that rotation hell at the moment, and that's how we got to look at it. Because even if they come out next week or this weekend and say Williams all of a sudden gets the majority of the snaps, or say he gets even 90, it just makes it that much more cluttery and hard to trust. So I like these guys to a certain extent, and heading into this weekend, you have to kind of look at Dotson as a linebacker too, kind of maybe a low end, and then Williams has a possibility of having some upside. He did produce with these 35 snaps that he had. It's not the best case scenario we wanted. Hey, but we do have Bernard out of it. I guess we just have to roll with that.
Yep. Over on the Patriots, things look a little more stable. At safety, totally normal. Duggar, 100%. Peppers, 99%. At linebacker, Bentley, 99%. We've seen that before. This Jennings guy continues to just play a lot, 97%. Dietrich Wise, 96. Tavai, 61. Any thoughts on this Jennings dude here? Do you buy it?
I've been mentioning him, and I've had him in waiver wire now. I think he's on his 3rd week. Actually, he might be a retread. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't used him, but in a couple of instances, he's becoming a real consistent contributor for him, especially with Matt Judon. He was actually doing all right before Matt Judon, carrying his own. He just got a bigger portion. And we've seen Ooch fall off the map, and now Dietrich Wise, another guy that came on towards the last year and really produced with Ooch. neither one of them are getting anything done now. So, yeah, you got to look at Jennings' numbers, and he's been consistent for like 4 or 5 weeks now. There's no reason not to think that he's at least going to have a decent matchup this week. I do believe it's against Miami, so it is going to be tougher. But still, though, he's put in those positions. He should still come up with quite a few tackles for you at this rate. Tavai, do you remember us making fun of him, or I did last year, about the guy that was like the ghost of the league?
Yeah.
Because now this dude is actually just pretty damn consistent as an LB2. He didn't have the hottest week. It was his first really down week, and he still had like 4 combined. So, I mean, at least he didn't give nobody a 0. Hopefully nobody was starting him in a standard league either. But it's kind of wild. They're using him a lot more than I ever expected.
Let's have a look at Giants and Commanders. We'll start with the Washington side of things. Cameron Curl, 100% of snaps. Percy Butler in for Derek Forrest, as we've seen these last couple of weeks, 100% of snaps. Cody Farton Barton, 12% of snaps and injured. So it would appear that David Mayo Mayonnaise is your waiver wire move this week at linebacker. That's another good one. At defensive line, Chase Young, 90%, Sweat, 71%, Deron Payne, 85%, Jonathan Allen, 76%. Any interest in Mr. Mayo?
Yeah, he's very capable. We've seen him many times before step in, and it's not pretty, but he gets the job done, and it's productive. And to the advantage, I want everybody to keep in mind in some of these situations, like Masterson coming in, or in McFadden's case, saying that with the Giants, these guys aren't necessarily all that good on film or the field. So that's why they get picked on too. That's the offensive coordinator's job, to know the weaknesses and what to line up against it.
The IDP Pros podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and soccer bet using historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bet's revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 other users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use the promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Alrighty, on the Giants side of things, we're looking very stable this week. At safety, Jason Pinnock, 100%. Xavier McKinney, 100%. That's normal. At linebacker, Mr. Okereke, 100%. That's normal. Micah McFadden, 62%. That's normal. Isaiah Simmons, 38%. That's a little bit up, but still useless. At defensive line, Leonard Williams, 78%. Dexter Lawrence, 75%. Huge game for him. Kayvon Thibodeau, 99% at defensive end. That's incredible playing time. And Jihad Ward at 74%. Anything from the Giants that stuck out?
I mentioned them last week, those interior defensive linemen. They had a hell of a game. It was a hell of a matchup. The guys have been a little bit inconsistent. They've had some tougher matchups. I do know they have another good one against the New York Jets this week, so I'm not sure if they can get as high a ceiling as they had this week, but they have another solid one to a strong this coming week.
Absolutely. Great options, both those guys.
Did you see Pinnock got him a sack? I like that because the guy I don't think had been used up in the box area all that much. He hadn't recorded anything like that before.
That was a nice surprise. Absolutely. All righty. Let's look at Falcons and Bucks. We'll start on the Falcons side of things. Richie Grant, safety, 100%. Jesse Bates, safety, 100%. That's normal. At linebacker, Caden Ellis, 100%. That's normal. Nate Landman, 77. That's about normal. Defensive line looked totally normal to me. We'll take it. And pretty much the same for the Bucks here. So Levante David, Devin White, 100%. We'll take that. That's normal. Antoine Winfield, 98%. That's normal. Ryan Neal, 92%. That's normal. Shaq Barrett, 66%, Vita Vea, 55%, Logan Hall, 66%, Joe Tyron, 69%. Maybe Logan Hall getting a little bit of a bump there. That guy was like a rookie last year, I think.
Yeah, it was actually like a pretty high draft pick too, but no, I'm not going to think about it until he shows a few weeks because we watched him last year and even this year, he's really not done much. So,
yeah, right. The playing time is the first thing, but we got to see the production too. If we don't see that, then it's useless, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of other dart throws I'd go for.
Yep, good stuff. All right, let's look at Rams and Steelers then. We'll start on the Pittsburgh side of things. Minkah Fitzpatrick, 100% safety. That's normal. Demonte KZ up to 85%. That's a bit of a bump. Keanu Neal down to 25%. That's the first time we've seen that. We'll talk about that in a second. Cole Holcomb, linebacker, 82%. That's normal. TJ Watt, 84%. That's normal. Alex Highsmith, 78%. That's normal. Quan Alexander up a little bit to 69%. And Landon Roberts down a little bit to 28%. Anything on the Steelers stand out to you?
Told you last week, man, I'm done with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No!
Yeah, it's a mess at linebacker, that's for sure. But pretty much normal what we've seen all year. Over on the Rams, things look pretty stable. So at safety, Jordan Fuller, 100%. Russ Yeast, 95%. That's normal. At linebacker, Ernest Jones down to 81%, but he was questionable all week and was in real danger of not playing. So I think they're just limiting his load there a little bit. Roseboom, 53%. Aaron Donald, 86% at defensive tackle. Michael Hoke, 93%. Byron Young, 95%. Anything on the Rams that stood out to you?
Rose boom booming.
Boom, baby!
Hey, there's another one. All right. So, yeah, keep rolling them out there if you're actually looking for a guy. I mean, Ernest Jones is banged up. The guy is not playing a whole bunch of snaps, but he's playing plenty enough that's getting him protection when he is out there.
Let's move on to Cardinals and Seahawks then. We'll start on the Cardinals side of things where I need to apologize to some people in the audience because I said do not play Buddha this week, the first week off of an IR stint. I would never recommend playing someone fresh off an IR stint because you don't know how much they're going to play. He did play 100% of snaps and had a huge game, so I look like an idiot. But,
no, you know, man. No, it's part of the game. Is using common sense. You would have been the villain. Oh, put him in there. Then what? You know what I mean? You're not. It's a lose-lose. So you're going to go with the fucking odds we know we've had for years of doing this. That's not going to happen. And I was shocked. I mean, he was just able to come off the injury reserve. So yeah, this is kind of crazy.
Right, and it gets even crazier. So Kavon Wallace got sat. He did not play at all. And Chachary was the other safety, which is wild. I think Jalen Thompson might have been inactive, so that could explain
he was
some of that.
He was out.
Yeah, so we definitely have some adjustments to make. Buddha appears safe at the moment. Kavon Wallace does not. And we'll see what happens with Chachary when Jalen Thompson gets back. But Jesus, what a mess right there at safety for the Cardinals.
That makes it tough to call this week.
Yeah, it sure does.
I mean, what do you do other than Buddha Baker? I mean, what happens if they flip? They've been known to do shit like that before.
Yeah, it's a tough one, that's for sure. But we'll see what happens this week. We'll report back. So safety is a mess for the Cardinals, that's for sure. Linebacker looking a lot better. Kazir White, 100%. Josh Woods, 87%. That's normal. At their defensive line, Zaven Collins, 63%. Gardeck, 30%. And there's no one else we give a shit about. Anything else on the Cardinals?
I don't like Josh Woods right now, at least as much as I did at the beginning of the season when I thought that he might be able to be something in a deeper format or offer some kind of IDP production. Then he got hurt. Chris Barnes came in. Woods didn't get it done that first few weeks either, so that didn't help the calls. I actually dropped him where I had him as late dart throws and stuff. I might have him some best balls out there. But when it comes to Kaiser White, he's cutting into his production, and that sucks because I was enjoying some really nice LB1 production out of Kaiser White there for a few weeks.
That is true. All right. On the Seahawks side of things, we're looking pretty much normal here, except for safety. So linebacker, Wagner, 100%. That's normal. Jordan Brooks, 70%. That's down a little bit, but not the end of the world. At safety, Jamal Adams played 2 whole games in a row. The world is coming to an end. Quandre Diggs, other safety, 100% of snaps. They found a way to play Julian Love this week as a third safety at 91% of snaps. That could explain Brooks going down a little bit. And just real quick, Uchenna Nwosu done for the season with injury, defensive line normal otherwise. What do you think about this Love thing?
That's what I'm looking into. Did they all produce? See, Love had 6 combined, 5 solo, looked like a pass defended. Then you're looking at Diggs, which probably, no, he still even got his 3. And then Adams had a good game, I believe, right? Decent game. Him and Love about the same. I would have to think that, man, they're doing the right thing. I was saying it last week. Why in the hell are you taking Love off the fucking field? You know, I can actually see where Brooks is a better. I mean, he's never been a good graded PFF guy. I haven't checked recently, but it's not like Brooks is an all-star. He's been productive by default. Julian Love, better option, getting some of those snaps, but that's still a lot of snaps for 3 safeties. I'd like to see what Mafe and Taylor are going to be able to do. They haven't got too much depth behind that, so those 2 should see a bit of a boost in snaps apiece. I believe they've been sharing more.
Yep, something to keep an eye on. So we definitely got some movement on the Cardinals and a little bit on the Seahawks. We'll keep on
Take a
top of
breath,
that.
man. Give us an update. What's happening in the ball game?
16-7 Vikings at halftime. Defensively, no injuries so far that we got to worry about. The only thing that's weird is Josh Metellus has not done anything. Other than that, it's normal.
He's on the field, though?
I think so. I don't have... Oh, wow. Look at this. Thanks for showing up to the game today, Josh Metellus, you fucking bum. Nice block by McCaffrey on Josh Metellus. How did Josh Metellus not get that tackle? Is Josh Metellus playing today? Did he even lace them up? He sucks. Yeah, these are all the Twitter comments.
Damn. Jeez, man. It's
So
definitely what have you done for me lately, right?
Yeah, he's playing. He just got torched by McCaffrey on a touchdown run, it looks like.
Well, him and about 5,000 other dudes.
What good is football content if it doesn't cover both sides of the ball? The SGPN IDP pros have you covered on defense. But we have more to offer than just IDP. Check out our flagship podcast, the SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast with Emerson Beery and Justin Bruni. Follow that up with a chaser of old-fashioned football with your hosts, Justin and Miranda Mark. All of the SGPN podcasts pride themselves on their actionable content. They bring the research and analysis you need to win. So help support SGPN and download the SGPN app and catch all of our premium football content.
All right, moving on to Packers, Broncos. We'll start with the Packers side of things. Quay Walker back from injury, 100% of snaps. We're looking good there. Devondre Campbell was not able to come back after the bye week, so we got Isaiah McDuffie for 66% of snaps. Hopefully Devondre can come back soon. At safety, Rudy Ford, 100%. Savage aggravated a calf injury, likely out for a while, so Jonathan Owens back in the mix is a safety waiver wire move. 54% of snaps last week and likely the starter going forward. Other starter.
One tackle.
Yeah, that's weird. But we'll see what happens when he gets full snaps. At pass rush, Jon Gary, 68%. That's looking good. Preston Smith, 71%. Kenny Clark, 83%. Anything on the Packers that stood out to you?
Nah, you made the call. Exactly what we should do. Make sure Owens can perform because he isn't in Houston for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, over on the Broncos, things look pretty good. At linebacker, Singleton, 100% of snaps. That's normal. Josie Jewell, 84%. That's about normal. At safety, Justin Simmons, 100%. That's normal. Kareem Jackson, 77%, and then ejected for the second, third, fourth time this year. He's been ejected a few times this year. He's now been suspended 4 games for problematic pattern of behavior.
Remember when I said earlier that if certain games happen, that they should go pee these guys? Maybe they ought to check and see what's going on with Kareem Jackson, because that's really out of character for him, man.
Yeah, he's been a bit nutty this year. All right, so yeah, while Kareem Jackson's out, it's likely it's going to be Turner Yell, who we've seen him before when he helped out when Simmons was injured. So that's probably your move right there. If we're wrong, we'll figure it out next week.
He was serviceable. He'll get the numbers if the matchup's there.
Beautiful, and it is. They got the Chiefs this week, so
yeah. It's safe. He was consistent for us.
Beautiful. So that's a good waiver wire safety move there. At defensive line, we're looking normal for the Broncos. Cooper, 69%. Benito, 62%. Zach Allen, 77%. Let's move on to Chiefs and Chargers. We'll start with the Chargers. Derwin James, after being questionable all week and heading on the downside of being able to play, did play. And he played 100% of snaps, which is wild. We usually never see that when he's questionable like that. So that was good. Alohi Gilman did not play. Dean Marlowe was the replacement, 100% of snaps. At linebacker, Kenneth Murray, 100% of snaps. Eric Kendricks, 87%. That's normal. At pass rush, Khalil Mack, 66%. Joey Bosa up to 59%. That's looking good. In Tui Poluan. All right. Looking at the Chiefs here, so at safety.
My bad, man. That was you keying off on me. See, I dropped the ball there. My bad. I was impressed you got the name. I was like, wow. Anyhow, I mean, hey, Marlowe, he's going to be another good play. Gilman has already been ruled out. I just seen that like 22 minutes before we got on here.
Gotcha. So there you go. Another safety option for you this week if you need it with Marlowe. That's a good call.
Yeah, he's solid veteran.
Bills before, I think, right?
Yeah, and I think Detroit before them. He's like 31, bro.
Let's move on to the Chiefs. At safety, we're looking good. Justin Reed, 100%. Brian Cook, 83%. That's normal. At linebacker, we got a dumpster fire. We'll get to that in a second. Otherwise, we're looking normal. Willie Gay, 52%. Karlaftis, 78%. Mike Dana, 73%. Chris Jones, 86%. And Mike Edwards, 49% as a third safety. So Nick Bolton is gone for 2 months. He dislocated his wrist. It was gross to look at. It's Drew Tranquil time, baby. You ready?
I love it. At the same time, I'm conflicted because I got so much Bolton stock this year. I mean, that really sucks for that. But Tranquil, he's solid. I don't know why the Chargers didn't re-sign him. And, he's going to get the job done. He's already proven that. And Willie Gay, again, has stuck out around the right amount of snaps, and he produced again last week. So this was the Willie Gay I was hoping to kind of see coming into the season. That got a little bit too many shares of him, too. But he's definitely starting to pick up a little bit of production. He's more matchup related, where Tranquil's is probably going to produce every game, more than likely. But now we're down to 2 because we know the fourth option is Chanel or Chanel.
Leo Chanel, right? Yeah, no, Tranquil is the best waiver wire linebacker move this week, easily.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Yeah, he's spectacular. All right, other than that, Chiefs are looking good. Let's head on over to Eagles-Dolphins. We'll start with the Miami side of things. Deshaun Elliott, safety, 100%, looking good. Javon Allen, 94%, looking good. Jerome Baker, 100% at linebacker. That happens sometimes, and other times it doesn't. Welcome to the Miami Dolphins defense. David Longdong, 51% of snaps at linebacker. That also could be higher, could be lower. Who the hell knows? It's Miami. Van Stinkel, 60% of snaps. That's about normal. Bradley Chubb, 90% of snaps. Jalen Phillips, back from injury, 69%. Christian Wilkins, 96%. Zach Sealer, 90%. Anything on the Dolphins?
No, I'm in too big of a hurry to get to the Eagles.
All right, Eagles. We got tons of moves here. So Kevin Byard is now an Eagle. Terrell Edmonds and some picks went over to the Titans just today. So Kevin Byard will now be a starting safety for the Eagles with Blankenship, who was inactive last week. Sidney Brown saw some playing time with Blankenship inactive last week. My guess is it's going to be Byard and Blankenship with Sidney Brown as a backup. We'll talk about that in a second. At linebacker, Zach Cunningham, 100% of snaps. Nakobe Dean, 61%. Morrow down to 39% as Dean goes up. That makes sense. At pass rush, Sweat 78%, Reddick 76%, Fletcher Cox 76%, Jalen Carter 39%. What do you think, Gary? Big trade.
Getting ready to interrupt you and tell you, man, I was checking. Blankenship's already called out for week 8. So we're looking at Sidney Brown and Bird, which is a kind of a weird combination. Who do you have playing in a box? Because God. We know that Bird could. Yeah, we know he could. But what I'm wondering if they're going to actually kind of maybe use their linebackers to their advantage, since they do have Morrow, Dean, and Cunningham floating around in there to get by for a game. And also makes me wonder, how bad is Blankenship? I mean, that was quite the trade.
Yeah. Well, I think this maybe speaks to the Blankenship injury, because Blankenship's been okay when he's been in there. But
he's been great.
Yeah, injury is not good, clearly. If they're already declaring him out and it's freaking Monday.
Yeah, I'm looking at MFL right now on his player page, and it clearly has a big ass O on his out.
Yeah. All right, so lots of movement for the Eagles safety situation. If you're a Byard holder, you're still looking good. Blankenship just got to wait till he gets healthy. Sidney Brown looks like he has some value for the next at least week or so. We'll see how much longer. And then the other thing that stood out here, a couple things. So Dean going up, Morrow going down. That makes sense. But Jalen Carter, 39% of snaps. Jordan Davis played more than him at defensive tackle. Do you think that's just the injury and them easing him back? Yeah, got to be.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I would have to think so. Fletcher Cox was healthy, and I believe he's seeing a shit ton compared to what he may average. I mean, he's a full-time dude, but that's something pretty high. But either way, it probably just easing him back in. I would think that Jalen just why not ease him back in? It wasn't like they had to really force him into that rotation to make it that much better. It's already pretty damn tough.
Absolutely. Good call there. All right. And that is Eagles Dolphins. As we mentioned previously, Vikings 49ers is in progress. Greenlaw was able to play tonight. If he's out, which happens because he's questionable all the time, Oren Burks is the move. Anything from Vikings or 49ers you want to talk about?
No, not really, man. And one thing I do want to say again, hey, it's National Breast Cancer Month, so it's almost over. You got a little bit of time. If you've got some time or some kind of help you could lend somebody, please do.
Absolutely. Really good cause right there. And that pretty much does it for us this week. Thank you for everyone for listening. You got any parting words there, Gary?
Give me one of your Cowboy Buckeyes.
How about them Buckeyes?
There you go, brother. There you go. See y'all next week.
Take care.